It was a school of building brands and the basic insights, basic education, all of us developed while working together. And I will also quote Mahatma Gandhi, whom I think is the greatest marketer in the world. And I will say that marketing man or a brand person has to be passionate. This is the only noble profession where you make difference to the lives of the patients every day. And we also didn't understand that chronic therapy is a different thing. Great education with no knowledge. In fact, no knowledge also developed an insulin, which a blind man can take it by a tick of the science sound he can know. That is the level of patient centricity which no knowledge has. And it has been a great learning, great education, and a great contribution more to the Indian patient that we got the best science, best product, best service, and we can be proud of that we are making difference to the patient every day.
Yeah, and market rewards such brands. It's never so when you focus on patients, when you solve the real problems, I think market rewards you. So it's ultimate win-win between patients, physicians, and pharma professionals. 10% of the top 300 brands in the Indian pharma market were built under Mr. Jain's leadership. Let's learn from him. Hi, welcome to yet another episode of Complexity to Clarity, Pharma, Healthcare and More with me, Gauri Chaudhari. And today, I'm honored to have Mr. Sudarshan Jain, a visionary leader with over 45 years of experience in pharma and healthcare. He is the Secretary General of Indian Pharmaceutical Alliances, IHA Bar Chairman, and he is a key member of multiple boards and several advisory committees. What really fascinates me is his contribution to India's best known pharma brands. In fact, the 10% of India's top 300 brands, pharma brands, were built under the leadership of Mr. Jain. Mr. Jain brings unparalleled insights into pharma brand building process. So let's learn from him. Thank you, Mr. Jain. Thank you for accepting this invitation and coming on this podcast. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Gauri, for your kind words. And it has been pleasure working with you in an iconic company, Boots and Abbott, where it was a school of building brands and the basic insights, basic education, all of us developed while working together.
Absolutely. In fact, for all of us, that was the real school, and whatever we have learned in that school under your leadership, sir, we carry it with us throughout our life. And I'm not only one person, but there are going to be so many others going to echo the same sentiments. So, sir, just to ask you some, very important question that pharma brand building is complex. On one side, we have regulatory constraints. On the other side, we also have constant influx of new molecules coming. And within this space, building a brand and making it big, making it in top 300 brands of the country is not an easy task. It's everybody's aspiration, but may not always happen. How did it happen under your leadership? What are those fundamental principles which you think were critical behind building such huge brands?
Thank you very much, Gauri. The first thing is in organization, whenever we are building brand, first I will say brand is the soul of the company because company value is created through brands. And the role of everyone in the company is to think, live, and be brand. All functions in the company have to be focused on the patient because he is the customer of the company. And what needs to be done to serve that patient better is the primary role of every employee in the company. So that is fundamental that the company exists for customers. And we create value for customer who is patient in our case through the brands, which provides us opportunity to serve that customer. So one very, very important aspect of building brand, building companies is patient first philosophy. Uh, and I will also quote Mahatma Gandhi, whom I think is the greatest marketer in the world, who always used to say, last mile connectivity is fundamental in any task we undertake. And he was so great that the biggest brand and the most admired brand is Apple. And if you look back at the campaign of Apple is be different. So we have to think of the patient. We have to think how we can serve that patient better. We have to think what is the differentiating proposition we will offer to this patient. We have to think how will we focus on that differentiated offering. We have to think how we will be consistent in offering that promise, what we are delivering to the patient. And if we are differentiated, if we are relevant, if we are focused, if we are consistent, and if we are credible, we will make difference to the organization if we are serving.
Absolutely. Two very important points. One is that, brands are so fundamental to every company. And secondly, being consistent, being relevant, and being credible to that ultimate person whose life is going to change with our medicines. And that's, I think, is one of the very, very important thing for everyone to keep in mind. And very rightly said, you said that patient centricity is the most important aspect of our business. I remember reading that when India got independence, the average life expectancy was 32 years. Today, it is 70 years. There are a lot of people, stakeholders have played very important roles. The doctors, the institutes, the policies, the paramedics, pharma, etc. But very, very importantly, pharma businesses have also played that role. And therefore, we see what we see, that life expectancy is so much better. One of the brands that comes to my mind is Human Mixtard. For the audiences, probably they may not know this brand. This brand is for diabetics. This brand is injectable, it's an injection form, and it's a brand of insulin. I remember when I started as a very young manager and I was in the field and I was trying to talk to one of the top endocrinologists, telling him that my company is going to bring insulin brand, and I wasn't with Abbott that time, and insulin brand, etc. I was telling the endocrinologist, and he said, "Oh, please don't talk to me about anything other than Human Mixtard. I trust only brand when it comes to insulin, and that's Human Mixtard." And I was little confused, why is so, etc. But I found all those answers the minute I joined Abbott, and I saw that brand being built. So, Mr. Jain, from your perspective, please tell us, how was this brand made so popular, not only amongst doctors but also amongst patients? And there were very important things that were done to this brand. So, what were those principles on which again you worked?
Thank you very much, Gauri. Mixtard has been a very favorite brand. We were in Abbott Foods during those days in acute therapy area. We were masters of the game as far as OTC products are concerned, strepsils, cold drink, but not. We were very big in Brufen, Dygiene, Brufen, and we had just launched Prothidin, where you played an important role, and we were building the brand. However, we didn't understand chronic therapy as well. We had insulins. We were using generic insulins at that particular moment. We used to launch at a very low price. We never worked on developing market. We were just supplying insulin, getting the extract. Europe, bovine insulin were marketed. And we never thought that diabetes will become big, importance of purified insulin or importance of human insulin. We got collaboration with Novo Nordisk. And they said that they have a combination of fast acting and intermediate acting insulin. We didn't realize, and when we talked to some of the leading doctors, diabetologists, they said because we adjust the dose, there will be no role of combination. We did then extensive research So one is very, very important as far as Boots Abbott is concerned. Research, listening to the customer is very important. Don't assume and take it for granted. Go and meet the customer, patient. Patient was finding it difficult to mix plain and intermediate. Patient as such was afraid of taking injection. Patient was afraid of getting into complication. It was early days, and then patient has to go to a doctor to take the injection because hard glass syringe used to be there. Patient had to go to a doctor to take the injection. Patient had to go to a doctor to read his glucose levels, and then the whole world was so different. And we also didn't understand that chronic therapy is a different thing. Great education with no knowledge. And because we had success with Mixtard in other markets of the world, we said, let's launch Mixtard. And some of the outstanding marketing people, which Abbott has produced, uh, Sanjeev Shishu, Alok Mishra, they were part of the team. We did the research. We launched the product. Initially, there were problems, but then we worked on it. We started doing what is the extent of diabetes which there in this country. And a lot of epidemiological studies were conducted. In urban markets, we started realizing 98, 99, some to 8%, now today 15% incidence of diabetes is there. We realized that there is a tremendous underdiagnosis of diabetes. That time it was not available. We got the best doctors around the world, and all the Indian doctors, they came together. We created a platform that how do you create education and awareness? Started with diabetologists, went on to physicians, now get to GPs. At that time, I don't think in 1993 we visualized that diabetes will become so important a thing, but great thanks to some of the outstanding marketing people where we worked together, Alok Mishra, then I will quote Sanjeev Shishu, Dr. Anil Kapoor. He himself got into the picture, Vikrant, who is the managing director of Novo Nordisk. And the passion was uh, work on evidence. So first was epidemiological studies by different doctors in the country. Shashank Joshi was extremely important part. Dr. Kumar was extremely important. Dr. Mohan at Delhi was important, at Chennai was important. So there were different doctors who were coming and building studies after studies, epidemiology after epidemiology, and the brand was built up. It went on to continue to be number one brand over a decade. We worked on the distribution too because marketing is a holistic approach. Many of the times we need to realize insulin was not stored properly. The chemist, while going in the night, will switch off the refrigerator. So how do you ensure the quality of the product? And no Nordisk Foods Abbott team were committed to make sure educate the chemists, educate the nurses, educate the doctors, and keep on upgrading the product from bovine it became porcine, porcine it became human, human it became pans, and now there are different kinds of insulin. Insulin can be given in a week, once in a week. So we are looking at the patient always, that how do we make it convenient for the patient? In fact, No Nod is also developed an insulin, which a blind man can take it. By a tick of the sound, he can know. That is the level of patient centricity which No Nod has. And it has been a great learning, great education, and a great contribution more to the Indian patient that we got the best science, best product, best service, and we can be proud of that we are making difference to the patient every day.
Yeah, and market rewards such brands. It's never so when you focus on patients, when you solve the real problems, I think market rewards you. So it's ultimate win-win between patients, physicians, and pharma professionals. So actually, taking this point of patient centricity forward, I remember in the corridors of Abbott, there was this statement made by one of the very important persons. He said, look, we are not doing things for diabetics, we are doing things for people with diabetes. And people with diabetes means that he's a person, he has to live his life, probably he has to take injections while he's working in his office, and he can't take that insulin injection. So the Novopain came in, where it was just a simple device, but so much of thinking that went behind. Also, the color coding of the vials, I think that was another insight where you, like you said, you educated chemists not to switch off refrigerators in the night to save electricity. But also, I'm sure we are talking about those days when this education wasn't there. Today, nobody must be doing this. But the whole idea of educating everyone in that process and ultimately seeing that the last mile is taken care of. So, indeed, one of the very landmark brands. And I would tell the audience, if you have not read about enough case studies on Human Mixtard, do that. They are available. Write to me if you want. But patient centricity is the key to building brands, and there's so much to learn from this one. Another
Sorry, before you go, I will also quote one more example is transportation of insulin. Previously, like say, it will take 7 days to send insulin from Ahmedabad to say Calcutta to Patna. And what happens during the transportation, even if the cool chain provision is there, this truck driver, he will put off the refrigerator. What no nowadays books came out, cool temperature recorder, whether during transportation the temperature is maintained. And if from the recorder they find that the temperature is not maintained, that insulin will not be supplied to the patient. That was a great education to me and Dr. Anil Kapoor and no nowadays quality team and Abbott team used to be so particular. Many of the times we didn't realize this, but they will say just destroy if that temperature is not maintained. So the kind of focus on the patient and delivering that promise and credibility has been fundamental on building brand and making difference to the patient.
Absolutely. These are some of the cases which are so inspiring, and I'm sure going forward, a lot of young marketers are going to learn from these iconic brands. Another iconic brand, sir, is also Thyronorm. That is one brand which also made huge difference to India's patients suffering from hypothyroidism. In fact, I remember I lost my aunt in early 80s to thyroidism just because nobody could diagnose that whatever her symptoms were, they were of hypothyroidism. Of course, there's Dr. Velumani who has done huge work in this area, and he got thyrocare to the smallest possible towns today. But even pharma industry, the brands like Thyronorm, they have played significant role. One, to diagnose, two, to treat, and three is to adhere to these therapies. What was your experience, and how did you do this very tough task?
So, Gauri, we used to have one sales manager. He was my best sales manager in the country. And he was, all of a sudden, he went into depression and he couldn't perform. He was going from one doctor to another. And then after 1 year, 1.5 years, we discovered that he was suffering from thyroid disorder. We had a product in the US, Synthroid. It was available in very distant, but in India, the price was less than a rupee, 50, 60 paisa. Everyone, we debated for 1 year that whether we should launch this product, whether thyroid exists in this country. And that is a lesson that many of the times we don't realize what is the kind of disease profile is there in the country. We did the research, we launched the product against some of the outstanding marketing people who were working on this brand. We said there was only 100 micrograms, one strength was available, and it was not controlling the thyroid disorder. The cost of the treatment, cost of diagnosis used to be very high, and where the role of thyroid care comes in, really the only comes in. The cost of the therapy was, the cost of diagnosis was more than 500 rupees, where the cost of therapy yearly cost was less than 400 rupees. Yearly cost, 1 rupee a day. So everyone said to us, how will you make money out of it? Will you be able to launch multiple brands, multiple strengths if you want to make a difference? 10 microgram, 20 30 microgram, 100 microgram. Again, outstanding brand managers who lived and were passionate about it and they said to me, we would like to launch it. For first 6 months, we had expiry only because we created multiple strengths, Gauri. Uh, we were not able to sell it because we couldn't understand the demand of multiple strengths, what will happen in India. We had a lot of expiry. There were a lot of questions because at the end of the day, corporate organizations were make profit. I recall our discussions at Singapore with our bosses at different places. There was discussion whether we should continue with the product or not. We got into collaboration. We said that brand building is a holistic approach, right from diagnosis to treatment to compliance. Unless we look at the whole chain, we will not be able to make difference to the patient. So diagnosis is important, treatment is important, compliance is important, education awareness is important, and work on a holistic chain. We got into collaboration. One of the brand managers suggested with Venkat, he's in South Africa. No knowledge, he's the managing director at the moment. He worked on the brand. Vikrant worked on the brand, and Swati worked on the brand. They got together the collaboration with uh, Will Ramani. Shashank played a very important role. Dr. Shashank Joshi, I don't know whether he will remember, in one of the conferences, he said uh, gynecologists are a very important customers because pregnancy, thyroid disorder, if it happens, it will stunt the growth of the child. And we use some of those strategies. So one is identify the right kind of offering, which is different strength. Second is role of diagnosis. Third is awareness and own the patient, and you will make a difference over a period of time. Today, we are proud to say that Abbott Group's team have made a difference and created this therapy in this country. Still, a lot needs to be done. Still, there is underdiagnosis. Still, there are opportunities to improve diagnosis level and make a difference in this country.
Absolutely. I think that brand has played such a huge role. Many in the audience may not know that thyroid medication is to be given in the exact dose. Even little bit of dose up or down can actually cause very serious side effects. And just making one dose available, that is one strength available in the market, could have caused a lot of issues to the patients, which was in a way was happening. And Thyronorm actually broke that. Thyronorm created multiple SKUs, as Mr. Jain just mentioned, and they owned it, owning that patient, owning his problem, his disorder, and seeing to it that patient is ultimately benefited was one of the very important role I think Thyronorm played. And that's another brand. I think hats off to the entire team, and the names you have mentioned are such big names in the industry today. They have done a phenomenal job under your leadership, sir. So
Sorry, I will not say my leadership. It was their passion of building brand, because what perhaps Abbott organization was doing is it was giving ecosystem for the passionate people. They were coming with the ideas. In fact, I remember they went to the office of Velu Ramani. The cost of the diagnosis used to be around 500 rupees. He reduced the cost of a diagnosis to 100 rupees. And that itself opened the whole thing. So the passion of the team, the passion of the sales team, because when you go to a doctor and when you are able to establish a concept and doctor tells you that the patient was so happy, you help the doctor to help the patient. So there was a team effort with the doctor, with the medical representative, with the distribution team. And all were passionate about making the difference. And the overall passion and the ecosystem was making a difference. And each one of them will be so proud because patient is saying to a doctor, doctor is saying to a medical professional, medical team is communicating. So it is a cycle because there has to be a passion. And I will say that marketing man or a brand person has to be passionate and own that therapy to make a difference, because this is the only noble profession where you make difference to the lives of the patients every day. So many people who may have suffered from diabetes and complication, and so many children who would have been stunted. The socio-economical impact of what we do every day in our profession in healthcare is huge. And if we think of that patient and the kind of difference we are making, it will get new ideas to service that patient and make that difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that word that you own that patient, you own that brand. And as a brand manager, you may have title as a brand manager, but you're the CEO. That is what you used to tell us, that you are the CEO for your brand and make those choices, which ultimately will help the patient, the person who needs your help the most. So, really very nice work that happened on Thyronorm. But just a question that may come to somebody's mind, that why did Thyrocare decide to reduce the price of their diagnostic test? I mean, is it because a pharma company said that we'll give you more volume and that's how you would, and we'll do patient camps? So what was it? Just for the audience to understand this dynamics.
We, in fact, the commitment of the senior management team and the entire company has to be there, because the point which I'm making is brand building is not only left job, brand building is not only manufacturing person job, brand management is the total entire company's job. So when we realized in our research that diagnosis is a real problem, talking to the patient, talking to the doctor, and we said that the cost of the therapy is say less than 300 rupees yearly. And if the cost of the diagnosis is 500, how will it work? So the real issue was diagnosis. So some of the brand managers met Veluram. I also met Veluram. He was changing the model of diagnosis in this country, where he was getting the samples from all over the country and analyzing the samples at one place. He was disrupting the diagnostic space in this country. So we were very impressed by the disruption which he was creating. And we said that it is a win-win situation when both the disruptors, we were disrupting the thyroid care market by not only just getting 100 micrograms, he was disrupting the market of diagnostics. Instead of doing the test at every place, what he was getting, all the samples at Bombay, he showed us the kind of facilities he has, he will be able to reduce the cost. And when we combine two disruptions, we were able to make difference. So it is a great story of two disruptors, and we will see a lot happening now. And as a marketing person, if I'm focused on the patient, there are a lot of startups which we meet every day. If we combine the issues which the patient is having, if I understand that issue, first is for a brand manager, he has to be outward focused. He has to talk to the patient. He has to talk to his team. He has to listen and then come out with a solution. And then we came out with a solution. Someone said that, why are you doing this? But we said value Ramni is equally patient about reducing the cost. And we combine the two passions and make the difference. Thyrocare is a winner, Thyronorm is a winner, patient is a winner, the team is a winner. So it is, you are spreading goodness, you are spreading good health, and make everyone successful in that venture.
Absolutely, absolutely. So these are two examples from a chronic treatment, but some may say that how did Dygiene and Brufen kind of brands became so big? Because these two brands stood test of time. They are living beyond certain generations, and they are still in the minds of the doctors and patients. So how did these kind of brands, and not only Brufen and Dygiene, but also there are so many other brands like Cremafin, Cremalax, entomazole, etc. So, what were the principles in acute therapy?
Gauri, I say whose Abbott is School of Marketing, and I was trained in marketing by some of the legendary professors, Labdi Bhandari, Gauri, Abhinandan Jain, and then I came to the marketing world. I would say the vision of ambition was set by D.B. Gupta. The looking at the business was set by Mr. Palekar at Johnson & Johnson. And the marketing and customer insights was set by Anil Kapoor. An antacid is an antacid is an antacid. That's the statement which he didn't believe in. I remember nights after nights where he will say, what why Dygiene has to be different. And we came with a campaign. Dygiene is number one antacid because it is always first with the latest. We came with the concept of protein protection. Why Dygiene is different? We came with the concept of flavors. Because the flavors were not there. Someone said, how are you coming with flavors? Because antacid is taken for a long period of time. We said launch of flavors. And Vineet Kalia, he was in development. He played a role in development of flavors. Then we asked him to launch those flavors because he has developed the product. And again, thinking everyone in the company is thinking customers and patients. And Vineet did a great job of building Dygiene, and still it is the dominant brand. It went on to become number one brand. It was number three brand. It overtook the other brand. We came with a beautiful campaign. The sales force played an important role. We kept on working on the products. And still, because being a board member at Abbott, they keep on developing new packaging, new formulations. You have to always, as the market is evolving, keep on evolving the brand. The second concept which you'd like to talk about is contextual concept and contextual clarity, familiarity, and conceptual clarity. So if the context is changing over a period of time, you have to evolve the concept of brand over a period of time. So the concept of flavors came in, the concept of new formulations came in, the concept of new education came in, the concept of media promotion going to the OTC came in, the concept of using doctors in a different form came in. So Dygiene is still very, very strong. Cremafin, Cremalex is very, very strong. So someone says, is Cremafin relevant? Cremafin is very relevant. Cremafin is a big brand. Dygiene is a big brand. Brufen, I still believe in that when you are having a dental pain and you take it disrupts your productivity for the day. And when Brufen takes care of that pain, you feel so happy. So every day you are making a difference to the brand. And brands are never old. It is our mind which is old, which makes the brand old. So it is important that we have to be relevant. We have to create that brand relevant for times. Acute therapies are as important as chronic therapies, and we have to constantly rethink the brand and rethink the patient and rethink the ways we deliver the value to the patient.
Absolutely. Like you said, patient is the most important person in the whole of the business, and how Dygiene, Brufen, Cremafin continuously kept on thinking of that ultimate patient, and that's why these brands are there for so many years in the market. So going to maybe something very basic question, but this question still is relevant because there has been this discussion across the National Medical Commission, across some of the media reports, that brands are not relevant. Why do we have brands in this country, the pharma brands? We should have generic prescriptions, and doctors should not prescribe brands. What do you have to say them? I mean, of course, the audience would have made up their mind listening to all these stories so far, but still, why should in India we should not be pushing doctors to prescribe generics but go for brands?
Very, very relevant question and a constant question which policymakers raise was brand is a symbol of trust between a manufacturer and customer patient. Brand leads to development of that offering. And brands symbolizes the continuous development to offer better offering to the patient. A soap is a soap is a soap, but the choice which soap is to be taken by the patient, by the customer. It has to be that customer's choice. Many of the times it is that there is information asymmetry between a doctor and a patient. So if there is an inducement to the doctor, he will tend to prescribe high-priced brand. I think that's a wrong notion. Doctor has the patient to take care of the illness. and patient is making a choice to a doctor, of a doctor based on his judgment, and he is relying on his judgment of the brand. So we should leave that choice to the patient, that he realizes on the doctor to the brand which he uses. Doctor will use the brand which is constantly developing. Like if there was a generic version only of thyroxine, why will Abbott take an effort to develop the market, to come out diagnosis, to offer the offering for the patient? And the market would not have developed. Take the classic case, I give the example of insulin. Insulin was generic from 1977. I have been part of that journey. We didn't do anything to develop diabetes market. And if Novo Nordisk, Eli Lilly would not have come into this country, what would have happened to the diabetic patients in this country? Many of the diabetic patients would have got it. We would not have advantage of advanced technology. Allow market forces to work. Allow competition to get the balance in the prices. Allow intense competition. And fortunately, because of the policy system which we have, there is an intense competition in every brand. For painkillers, there are more than 100 brands, right? For thyroid disorders, we have got around 30 brands. So leave the choice to the customer, leave the choice to the patient to decide. Don't get the intervention of generic brand. That's not the part of the policy.
Very rightly put together. And exactly the way you said, it also gave the perception of quality and also the chance to differentiate, because we are having so many brands in the market. Each one will strive to do better for the patients and thus get space on the doctor's prescription. So I think you said it so well, and there is no reason why Indian patients should be deprived of some of the best of the brands. Some of them we have already discussed. So going forward, what do you think are the trends in pharma ecosystem or healthcare ecosystem? What are those changes? Because you have seen this industry for the past 45 years. You are also on the several boards where latest technological advances into healthcare are coming. So what are those three trends, if I have to just say, if you have to just say these are the three or four or five, I mean, what are those trends?
So one is the therapy will keep on evolving. We will go from acute to chronic to degenerative diseases. So one is evolution of the therapies, and with the growing age in India, 72 years, go further up. Although the life cycle is improving, the disease will make the life difficult to live for many of us unless we take caution. So one is increasing lifespan and the consequent impact on the disease and the portfolio. Second is the focus on prevention and the focus on wellness. Because it is not only diagnose the disease, you like respiratory tract problem or cancer, can you take preventive measures? Diabetes, can you take preventive measures? And the focus of brand builder has to be in the holistic life of a patient, right from prevention. So when we are talking to a diabetic patient, we'll not be talking of a pill or insulin. We'll be talking of diet, exercise, and the therapy, and also diagnosis. So we have to talk in a holistic way. So previously, management was absence of illness. Now, the whole definition is wellness. So how do we take care the total? You have dealt with prothidin and the kind of role Gauri you have played on the therapy during that time. That education of GPs, education of doctors. I remember early days, those concept of owning the patient and treating mental disease in a holistic way. You have done tremendous work on depression and addiction. So the concept is you have to own the patient and look right from diagnosis to wellness. So first is evaluation of therapy. Second is the whole concept of management. Third is there will be integration of 5 Ds, I call it. diagnosis, devices, drugs, then uh, delivery, how do we deliver the medicine to them, and digital. Everyone will like to have, like the concept of oximeter during COVID times. You monitor your oxygen levels, you talk to the doctor telepathically and manage your treatment. So you are combining device measurement, maintaining the record, telecommunicating with the doctor, and managing the disease. Right? More and more that will happen. So, and you will start talking of an integrated way of managing. Take the case of Abbott Libre. You are diagnosing 14 days, your therapy, you are modifying and managing the therapy. So there will be more and more integration of early diagnosis, devices usage, drugs, and delivery formats, and digital will be all encompassed. So I will see from a marketing point of view, you have to look at the patient holistically instead of looking only at the drug. And those who start looking at the patient holistically will give you a lot of opportunity to be different to a patient. It's like a soap is a soap is a soap. Ibuprofen is ibuprofen, antibiotic is antibiotic is antibiotic, or antihypertensive drug. But there are different products which own the patient will make a difference. Many of the time, many of the brand managers, they say to me that the job is so boring. We are dealing with generic drugs. You are dealing with generic mindset. Because if you deal with a generic mindset, you will never think for a patient. So instead of thinking of product, start thinking of patient. How is he using the product? What are the problems which is he having? And can I find solution which is holistic? The greatest issue is look at the patient continuum of care, awareness, diagnosis, treatment, compliance. Identify the areas which require intervention. There are huge opportunities. India is the most exciting market in the world. And we will set the trend for marketing building brands in the world. So first is the new drugs will keep on coming. India will be focusing on discovery of drugs. Most of the companies are focused on that. India will also be focusing on developing new delivery formats for building brands and building solutions to treat the patient better. So there are big opportunities. Big opportunities will emanate from every point. Think of patient, think of being different, and we will take that.
Yeah, and remember those D's, and remember that patient is the most important. And therefore, another D, if I may add to it, is differentiate. Differentiate your brand for that patient. And maybe there are patients within patients. It's not one homologous patient. So look at every individual patient as a patient, solve his problem, her problem, and differentiate to do that. I think you have put it so beautifully, Mr. Jain. So, any advice? Of course, there are so many advices. I'm sure the young marketers have learned. But any three top advices for marketer who is just young and looking at pharma business as a complex business and finding difficult to build brands?
So I will say brand building for pharma or healthcare product is the most exciting thing in the world. Here, you are building brand, you are building therapy, you are offering solution to a patient. And there is a great satisfaction as far as building brands and therapy are concerned. It is not a transaction. It's not only a product. It's a business of making difference to the patients every day, point number one. So being passionate, if you are passionate, is the most exciting job. Second is curiosity. Very, very important. Because if you are not curious, you will not discover the insight of the patient in one day. You have to last mile connectivity, meet patients, meet doctors, meet your sales force who are involved. So that is the first, you have to be passionate about that process. Second, you have to listen, you have to be curious. Listening is important. Third is collaboration. You alone cannot make difference to the patient. You have to be collaborative, that involve your sales force, involve your distribution, involve your patient, involve everyone in the organization, right? From finance people to production people. If Vineet Kalia was not there, Dygiene must have been developed. And I would also like to say Mr. Bhai, Lalit Mohan Bhai, he has been a great mentor, and he forced us to think more about patients. So Lalit Bhai, Anil Kapoor, Pandari from Ahmedabad, Ahmed Wara, they are outstanding people. They challenge us every time, challenge the status quo. Be focused on the patient. And as you rightly said, differentiation. Be patient, be different, and be focused. You will enjoy the job. It will never be a job, it will be a fun. And that is the excitement of building brands.
I'm sure everyone in the audience must have got really inspired. That was one thing, Mr. Jain, you did so well. You inspired every life that came in touch with you, and we spent enough time to learn and stay inspired throughout of our life because because of your presence. So thank you so much for that. One last question: what do you think about AI now making inroads? Should pharma manager today look at AI as something that they should really learn, or there are some companies who feel that the managers have become lazy and they should be kept away from AI? So what's your take on that skill which is coming
So
in?
I will conclude this in life, in all walks of life. The question is the same, but the answers will vary from time to time. The question is, how do we become patient first? The answer in 80s was different, where there was only a literature, visual aid came in, devices came in, and today is AI to understand the patient insight better, to develop the methods what is working, to study the outcome whether you are making a difference. AI is going to play an important role. AI is encompassing. AI will help you to understand the patient better, help you to offer the solution better, help you to measure the outcome. So please be curious, learn it, and serve the patient better.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Jain, for spending time, giving us a chance to understand the fundamentals. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot of in the audience who are going to get inspired from here. So be passionate, be curious, collaborate, but never forget to continuously learn. So remember 1P and 3C, and that's going to make your life altogether a different life. Thank you for your time, Mr. Jain, and looking forward to many such associations and discussions going forward. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Gauri. Thank you, and wishing all the very best to branding marketeers. We are the soul of the organization.
Absolutely. So well said. Thank you. Thank you, sir.